What's up? What time is it? Anthony Blaze, you made me late. You've been complaining at me since I started these breakdowns that my intros are long. I'm always late. I don't start when I'm supposed to start. And then I joined your live, and that's why I was late. I love you, Anthony Blaze. Thank you very much, buddy. It was really cool hanging out with you on your channel. Guys, if you aren't already subscribed to Anthony, I will drop a link in. As soon as I've got my guests in and I can take a second to breathe, I'll drop a link in the chat for Anthony Blaze. Please go and subscribe to him and let him know that you came over from Milky. So yeah, guys, we have made it. We have gone down the long, winding road. There and back again from A Hobbit's Tale. We're here. We're at the episode 8 of Rings of Power. I can't believe we have actually got here. Like, we did 10 episodes of House of the Dragon, and then we've done 8 episodes of this, and we've been doing this stuff now for like 3 months, and it feels like I've been doing it for 3 weeks. Like, I absolutely love this kind of content. I love making this kind of stuff for you guys. And yeah, we've got a breakdown, as always, for the last episode. I went a little bit overboard with this one. Like, usually we've got like 50 slides. With this one we've got like 60 something. It was the last episode. I just thought, hey, let's give as much detail as I can do, as much detail as I can find, and do that. So yeah, and I was literally doing this as of an hour ago. I was still working on it, but it is complete. So yeah, let's go. We've got Umpty Scratch in the chat, and we've got Headless Ned Stark in the chat. It's really cool that they're both in the chat, because they're actually both backstage as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on my guests, guys. So you all know my co-host for these breakdowns. He's a fantastic guy, fantastic collector, you know, eclectic in the things that he collects, and he's funny, he's smart, you know. The only thing that really lets him down is the Star Wars stuff, but you know, as I've always said, we can allow that on this channel, you know. That's fine. And stay tuned, because there might be a Star Wars Easter egg in tonight's breakdown. I'm just saying. Guys, without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend Headless Ned Stark to the channel, to the breakdown, to the last week of the Rings of Power. Welcome in, Headless Ned Stark.
You forgot good looking though, so.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you can say that, I suppose.
What's going on, man? Episode 8, dude. I'm pumped. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. I'm present. We are live. Let's just do this. How's your week been? We'll quickly get a quick. How are you? How are you doing?
Good. Well, went back to work today after having 5 nice days off.
Oh yeah.
So that was fun. Yeah. But yeah, we're back into the flow of things here, and I just know in 2 days, man, we got Willow, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm debating if I want to stay up to midnight tomorrow and watch it. Actually, you know what though? It won't. It will drop at 3 a.m., won't it? It will drop at 3 a.m. for me. I'm not going to stay up to 3 a.m. Shoot. I just remembered that Disney dropped it at 3 a.m. my time. So I'll have to wait till I get home from work. But I can't wait to watch it and break that down.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm watching Willow tomorrow. I'm watching the old Willow tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I just watched it this weekend. So
yeah, I'm watching the old Willow tomorrow, and then I'll be Willowhead. It's been crazy. But yeah, Headless, we've got another guest with us tonight. I know usually it's just been me and you, but you know, the final episodes of the shows, I think I might try and keep this little tradition where we bring on more people on the final episodes, you know, as long as they meet the requirements that they've watched the show and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, I want to introduce our second guest, my second guest onto the live stream tonight. You might know him as the Sticker Man. You might know him as Chuck. You know, the guy that has 1 million stickers, a great beard, loves Jar Jar Binks. Again, Star Wars characters, so I'm going to get teamed up on tonight. I can see that coming. And yeah, guys, his name is the one, the only, amazing Umpty Scratch. Let's go. Umpty, welcome in. Let's just...
Hello.
Love it. Hello, people. Oh, right. Umpty, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you spending time to come and hang out with us. And I want to say thank you for myself and for Headless, because you've been here every week giving us some little anecdotes of lines and knowledge in the chat. And I want to thank you as well, because I went too far and watched the whole show in one sitting. And then I was supposed to watch it weekly and have the non-biased breakdowns with Headless, but then I kind of lost that because the show got a bit. And I want to thank you personally, Umpty, because you've been in the chat and you've remained spoiler-free for Headless's sake all the way through
Yeah.
it, and I really appreciate that.
Now we can really talk.
Yes, we can, and I have a spoiler page within this breakdown tonight. I know Papa Missouri's in here, and I know it's one of the first times we've seen him through this breakdown, and I don't think he's that interested in the show, though, to be honest. Although he could be, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, everybody in the chat, please share out the live. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to me, Headless, and Umpty if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, and I know the rest of the guys would too. But without further ado, this is going to be a long one, probably a little bit longer than an hour, so let's just get this done. We have the breakdown, guys, for episode 8, the finale. So I'm gonna let you know now I don't claim any right to this thumbnail. I stole this off YouTube. It was a last minute thing. I did the whole breakdown and then I needed the thumbnail for it. So I was like, hey, where can I get it from? So I just gonna put that out there. So yeah, guys, what did you think of the last episode before we get into it? Are you excited for season 2?
Yes, definitely.
Headless, Umpty, yeah, you both excited?
Yeah, I mean, like I said a little bit yesterday, is I still liked episode 7 better than this episode, but the last 10 minutes was fantastic. And it's funny how it's like almost the last 15 minutes of the episode, there's like no dialogue, which was really, really weird, leading into a new season. But the way it was done, I thought it was done beautifully. So I'm really excited for the next season. And but yeah, I mean, I liked the episode overall. Though it was really good.
Awesome. And Umpty, as a guy that's quite versed in Tolkien's world, did this season live up to you, to your hype? Did it impress you?
I thought it was pretty good. I was afraid it was going to be very slow, but what they covered was pretty good. I mean, a lot of my time was sitting here wondering, how far are we going to go this season? How far are we going to go this season?
Yeah.
And of course, there was some stuff they changed.
Yeah, they changed quite a bit of stuff, didn't they? And then they brought in more stuff. They introduced new stuff to the storylines and to the canon. So, yeah, we'll get through it. So the first slide, where the episode opens, is the stranger as he journeys alone in Eringalan, which is the Greenwood. Yeah, nothing really to break down here. But as he remembers Nori's words about him being good, he sees a small figure who he chases, as everybody remembers at the start of this episode. And I thought it was Nori, and we get this glimpse here that it looks like it's Nori, and we're like, okay, cool. Why is she running away from him? But then no, it's actually the hooded witch sorcerer lady, which was a good start to the episode. Good, especially for a finale. Like, I was glad that we kind of got something with the Harfoots. We didn't really get a lot. But it's like the first Lord of the Rings film. It's all about the hobbits, but really they don't really do anything apart from travel from here to here. So then, yeah, the other two appear, saying, "We come to serve you, Lord Sauron," as they bow, and the stranger seems pretty confused. So, Umpty, I'll go with you first. You knew who Sauron was going to be, right?
I was pretty sure.
You were pretty sure. So you didn't ever think that this wizard was going to be Sauron?
I thought, at first when they said that, I thought maybe so. Maybe they're screwing stuff up.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you thought they were actually going to mess things around.
So you read the books of all this, and that's why you knew that.
I watched the movies, and I study a lot of this. Study it.
Okay.
Read the books when I was younger. It's been a long time, so.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he was for sure. Then I'm like, wow, so they really did make him them. But so yeah, I was.
Yeah.
But I think that part played a big part into it. Into who I think he is.
Yeah. Hell yeah, this made me pop, guys. I thought I was wrong all the way through it, because I thought from 1 to 7 I was sure it was going to be a different character, and then when this happened, I was like, oh, so I'm wrong then, and I felt good because I felt wrong. I was proved wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I was back and forth on this character the entire season, and after watching season 7, when he leaves and everything grows back, I was like, okay, so it's gonna be Gandalf or the other wizard.
Yeah.
I figured for sure. And then when they open up with this, I was like, man, was that wrong? But you know, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, Celebrimbor and Elrond note that Gil-galad's pending arrival, and Celebrimbor says, if only there was a way of doing more with less, noting that the sun itself started as something no bigger than the palm of his hand. So back in Tolkien's storyline at the beginning of the creation of his universe and world, there was two trees. There was the tree of light and the tree of dark or red, dark sunshine, something that I can't exactly get the name of it. But one thing was taken from one tree and that created the sun, and another thing was taken from the other tree and that created the moon. And then that's how we have the sun and moon within the Tolkien world. So that was where that reference came from. Meanwhile, Elrond and Celebrimbor are pretty shocked to find that Galadriel is in Middle-earth, because this is the first time that these guys have encountered her, because you remember they sent her away on the boat. They sent her away on the boat to the Eastern Lands, and as we know through the show, she jumped off that boat, and it's all transgressed over the next episodes. But it was pretty cool that they still held on to that. And here we see the Eregion helmets, the first time we see the Eregion armored helmets, which I think are pretty cool.
So how long do you think season 1 lasts? So from the time that she gets sent away to the time, right here, how long do you think this is?
It's not following any common order. They say it's the second age, but technically the wizards didn't come to the third age. So
yeah.
But like I'm saying, like how long do you think this whole season was? Like what we talking, like a year? Are we talking 2 years?
I think it's a lot. I just don't think that they've explained it to us, because like Umti just said, they changed a lot of stuff, like the rings that they made the 16 rings, or I think it was 16 rings in total. Those rings were made over the span of 300 years.
Yeah.
And we see like 3 of them made in this episode. So,
and the 3 in this episode technically were the last 3 made in the book.
Exactly.
The theology, in the history. So
in the canon, the
so
3
not,
rings. The 3 Elven rings were the last ones made.
And they're playing it off. Like I after watching this episode, I thought it was the first 3 that were made.
No, they technically were supposed to have been the last. Now, do we know that the other rings are going to be made, or have they already been made? We don't really know that technically.
So who makes those rings if it's not the elves?
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor makes all of them?
I'm pretty sure, and then he hands them down to the races of men and the races of elves.
Right, the elves and the dwarves, all of them get them.
The dwarves, the elves, and the men. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. It's like they did it completely reversed. Unless they're, See, I had no idea.
Like Star Wars, they did that in reverse.
Did the Star Wars reverse?
In my eyes, they did. We see Darth Vader first, and then we see it go back to him being a kid. They did it in my eyes, but that's another story for another life. Especially when I say that kind of stuff to Headless.
History says the elves of Aragon made them.
Okay, the elves of Aragon, which is Celebrimbor and his team.
Right. You don't know if it's technically he made every one of them, or just the.
Yeah, I don't know technically, but I know that he is the mastered. He is the mastered smith within the elven community. So I would have guessed that he'd have had something to do with it. So yeah, as Galadriel and Elrond catch up, he says that he should never have sent her on that ship, and he should have trusted her. A mistake he says he won't make again. So for me, I wish that they'd used Elrond as a main storyline character going forward. We haven't seen much of him this season, but I think that these two steal the show when they're together. In my opinion, what do you guys think of their chemistry on screen and the way
I think season 2 is probably going to be more focused on them, I would say. Part of it. One of the storylines.
What about you, Headless?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Elrond wasn't in the first season. I mean, he was. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, what did he do besides go to the Dwarven caves and try to, find that ore and all that? But like, I think he had a lot of screen time. I'm actually surprised you say that.
I just would like to see more stuff from him. Like you said, yeah, he did go to the Khazad-dûn, but that's all really he did do. He just went to Khazad-dûn, then went back to Lindon, then went back to Khazad-dûn again.
True. Yeah, I mean, I guess he didn't do a ton, but like, I wanted to see him like is he? I didn't even know. I don't even know. Is he a fighter? Is he a warrior? Can he fight like Arendelle or
I
Arender?
believe all of them can fight, yeah, because there's
Yeah.
a big war coming in. There will be a big war in season 5, I believe, which will be the penultimate thing for this entire show. And
War
Yeah.
of the Rings.
yeah, the War of the Rings in season 5, and that should be really good. And I'm hoping that all the characters survive that long. You know, crazy. But then we cut back to Celebrimbor, who looks to be packing up things in the forge. But who do we see walk in? We see a much improved looking Halbrand. Halbrand comes down to the forge, which is a place that he is obviously naturally drawn to, as we've seen throughout many episodes this season. You know, he's always drawn to smithies and to making things. So for me, we're going to come into pretty much it. This solidified for me who Halbrand was before it was even said. So as I have here, we have 3 stones, and I said now. So now, if you're watching this, chances are that you've seen the episode, and at the very least, are okay with spoilers for this episode. At least, I will let everybody know watching now. If you haven't seen the show, this episode will ruin the entire show for you if you haven't seen it. If you're okay with spoilers, please stay. If you're not, then I'm fine with you leaving it. I don't want you to, but it's absolutely fine. So yeah, we have the 3 stones here. We'll point out that Halbrand's former master. He was talking about his former master in the stones, and he was saying, I believe he was referring to Morgoth, for he is Sauron in disguise. That's what I've put here. More on that soon enough, because we don't get a complete definite answer here, but for the book nerds, you definitely do, because of the things that he says. Like he says to Halbrand says to Celebrimbor a line, you can keep it, consider it a gift.
Yep.
That's in a direct line from Sauron.
And Anatar.
Yeah.
It's one of the names of Sauron, which is the gift, the king of the gifts, or something.
The king of gifts. Yeah, because in the book, Sauron disguises himself and goes along to, like, this isn't the first time in the storyline of the books that Sauron has visited Lindon and has had his magical words in the ears of the elves in disguise, though. So they haven't shown any of this kind of stuff in the show. So it's when I heard this line that you can keep it, it's a gift. For me, that was instantly, I know that this is going to be Sauron now.
But we also know that the Rings of Power, Sauron had to have a major part in them being formed, or there would have not been any Rings of Power. So kind of made you think, yeah, that right there is the.
So here, Headless, you just heard the acolytes call the stranger Sauron, and then we've come to this scene, and I've just said that for me this cements this is Sauron. Were you under that impression, or were you still thinking it was the wizard?
No,
I know you don't have the book knowledge, but
yeah, I didn't really think of anything much here. I was just like, okay, like I still didn't know anything. No.
Okay, right. So maybe after this breakdown, and we've explained more stuff, and if you get a chance, definitely go back and watch this scene, because now knowing that he is Sauron,
yeah,
watching this scene is so much more powerful when you know.
So he's taking, what is he giving him here?
What he was doing was he was trying to figure out and explain to him that you can mix the ores together.
Okay.
To make them more powerful.
And what was you telling you? What were you saying he was letting him keep?
What was it that he gives him? He gives
the rings. He gave him. Didn't he say the rings or the knowledge or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's the knowledge. He gives him the knowledge of understanding that you can mix the three. You can mix the different. Yes, consider it a gift. Keep the knowledge. That's correct. Thank you for being here, MT. I appreciate it. And Two Dirty Hands Woodwork has followed over. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Ryan Milky's YouTube channel.
And we say the elves made the rings.
Right.
Elves made 19 rings. Sauron made the Ring of Power in Mount Doom. So
yeah, he made the one ring, yeah.
Yeah, so
the Ring of Power is the one that Frodo has, right?
Yes.
Yes. That's the one ring that rules them all.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So when is that ring made? At the same time?
No, it'll be made shortly. I mean, it's the last one made.
So for what reason was that ring made?
It
Why would you
controls all
want
the
to?
other rings. It's a ring that can pretty much, if somebody wears one of those rings, the person controlled it, having that ring has the power to control them, basically.
Because like, are all the other rings in Lord of the Rings, or is it just the one ring?
At the very beginning, they are. We see it
Yeah.
in the opening monologue when she talks, and we see the 9 rings were given to the men. The 3
So what
rings were given
happened to all those rings?
Well,
I don't think it's explained yet, to be honest. I know that the 1 ring was more superior over it, and then that was the storyline of the.
But I'm saying, like, even in the prequel movies, there's nothing. I really do have to go back and watch all these. I'm just trying to remember, like, do we even see these other rings at all in any of those 6 movies, or is it just the 1 ring?
I genuinely can't recall seeing any other rings except for the 1 ring. I know Galadriel has hers, and then she has the pendant, which is the light of.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name.
I guess I'm just thinking out loud because I'm like, I knew about all these rings, but like the movie literally has the 1 ring in it, as far as I remember.
Because that's farther on in the history.
Yeah.
And if this goes good, maybe by the time this series is over, we'll learn more about where the rings came from and what happened to them.
Definitely.
Because like if you go back to that, go back to the gems or the stones. Like I'm looking at those and I'm like, what? Because I kept thinking of Frodo's ring. I'm like, wait, aren't they just gold rings? So it's kind of cool to see what happens at the end with all this. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is definitely different than what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, see, they wanted to make a crown, but it would take too long, and only one person could have it. So.
Right, and I think that's what the original idea for those were. But it was cool the way they did it. I mean, you know, I'll tell you what. I mean, did I absolutely love the series, and I want to go back and rewatch the whole thing right now? Not really, but it does make me want to go watch those other 6 movies again. Because then I think knowing more, and like I said, it's been such a long time since I've seen those original, especially the original movies. Because I mean, the prequels are just about Bilbo, right?
Yeah.
And is Bilbo the one who becomes Gollum or no? Or do I have that right? No.
Bilbo got his ring from the Gollum.
Oh, okay. Bilbo's in the original.
The Hobbit. Yes.
And he's in the original movies as well.
He's in the original because he's the one who tells Frodo about everything. Okay. So wait, who becomes Gollum again? I know it's a Hobbit.
Gollum was 2 hobbits. They were cousins, Smeagol and Gollum, and the ring corrupted both of them. And Gollum killed Smeagol, and then Smeagol's mind went into Gollum's head, and that's why you have the 2 voices, the good and the evil.
Holy heck! I don't remember any of that. It's crazy.
Unless they have the fight in the water, and he's choking him, and he chokes him out with the ring.
I remember. Yeah, I do remember them both. So the ring corrupted both of them. Okay.
Well, it corrupted one of them, and the other one was still not quite corrupted, and the corrupted one ended up killing the nice, good friend, and that's why there's 2 people in his head when he speaks.
That's why he goes Gollum and Smeagol too. Oh, okay. I don't know how I don't remember any of this. I just remember.
Like you said, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I just remember Eddard Stark used to be in one of those movies. That's all I remember.
Yeah, he gets killed in this movie. He gets killed in the movie too.
Yeah, he doesn't die in the first one.
He always you don't see him much in the first one, but he always dies in movies.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just catch up with the chats. There's a lot of people who jumped in while we were talking.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it off the rails here.
No, that's what we're here for, dude. That's what we're here for the questions and to breaking it down. And if we don't say it now, when are you going to get to say it? Because this is the finale breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So unless we do an extra show to come back. Hello, Johnny Funko. Welcome in, my friend. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Kenneth Bird, welcome in. Let's check Christina Payne. Thank you for being here. Thank you for rivaling me with the links over at Anthony Blazers today. That was real fun. Dirty Hands. 2 Dirty Hands Woodworking. I love that YouTube name. 2 Dirty Hands Woodworking. That's cool. Welcome to the channel, my friend. And have I missed anybody? Christina Payne says, Ryan, you are awesome. Well, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you very much, Christina Payne. So I want to say something here about these stones. So in this scene, Halbrand looks like he is amazed by these gems. I'm sorry, but Sauron must have seen the Silmarils at some point in this story, and they are majestic stones compared to these 3 little stones that we have here. So when he said that, they were the most precious stones he'd ever seen, I was like, no, not really. You've kind of made that line up, because he's seen the Silmarils. He must have come into some form of this. The Silmarillion headless. We've seen it was a massive gem in the statue of the.
Right.
That was one of those. So yeah, I don't know. It was just something that I wanted to bring up. But yeah, as I said, guys, spoilers going forward if you haven't seen the storyline. So we're going to cut to Numenor, where King Tar-Palantor's health is failing. Pharazôn has brought draftsmen and apprentices from across Numenor to capture the king's visage for a glorious tomb for when he dies. A key line here is Pharazôn saying that the tomb will grant the king immortality in stone that no man, not even a king, can attain in life. It's a small moment, but it points us to where his eventual storyline will lead. A first hint at Pharazôn's fear for the mortality, which will be most probably highly sought after storyline for season 2, which I can't wait, which is going to be real good. Pharazôn has been a good character. He hasn't spoken much, but he's been a very good character just with his facial expressions, with his mannerisms. He's been a great guy. Anyone want to add any thoughts on Pharazôn as we're going forward?
No.
No?
Just want to see more of him.
Anything? Okay, yeah. So we see Elendil's daughter, Erin, writing down during her hour block with the king, during which Tar-Palantir wakes up and seems disoriented, calling Iroin Miriel and saying that the old ways of their people are not soon restored. If they are not soon restored, the island will fall, which is kind of, throwing back to what we've been seeing when they touch this Seeing Stone, and we've been seeing these things. Pretty crazy. So Tar-Palantir opens up the passage to the upstairs room, saying that he looked into the Seeing Stone for far too long and can no longer separate what is from what was, and what was from what will be. A very, confused king kind of thing to say, It's like Viserys trying to tell Alicent that it's Aegon's dream and Aegon should be on the king, when clearly that's not what he's on about,
Right.
Pretty crazy. So again, I don't know, the cool thing, I've got lots to talk here, sorry guys, with all the text, but I did want to just add as much as I could. So Erin looks at what I believe may be the Turin's dragon helm of Dorlomir, which was the helmet that you see. I didn't unfortunately get a picture of that, so I do apologize. And just before we cut away, just before she pulls off the cover, and for me this really caught my attention because we never go back to Erin in the rest of this episode. So it's left here,
It's probably going to come around in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up because, and for me, she looks like Hermione Granger here. I was looking at it, I was like, that looks like Hermione Granger from Harry Potter.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But yeah, it was interesting that they left this scene. They didn't go back to this, We didn't get anything of this throughout this entire rest of this episode. So I'm super excited and hyped to see where this goes next season. So, thoughts, Headless. What are your thoughts on Numenor? Now, I know I bigged it up. I was like, oh, Numenor is going to be amazing. And yeah. I feel a little bit let down by it because we didn't get to see much. But I think that was purely because of the residents of Numenor, the people that were there at the time. What did you think of the whole place?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty neat to see it. I was a little disappointed that, well, actually, so I'm trying to think back now what I said in episode 4. Who did I think was Aragorn again? Was it Halbrand?
Yeah, you did think that, yeah.
See, my whole theory there screws everything up. I guess I'm disappointed that I was wrong on that one. I was way off, obviously. But it was pretty cool to see it. I mean, after you told me that that's kind of like where Aragorn was from and everything. So, I'm curious to see how long it's going to last because I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. I mean, if the little visions or whatever come true, I mean, we're probably going to see it get wiped out, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think we're definitely going to get more because I don't think that all those characters that we met there, they're all kind of heading back there now. It's not like we're not going to see them again. So I think we're going to see more of it. But yeah, so I enjoy those scenes.
And the same question I'll pose to you, Umpty, with you being a book knowledge, you've got a bit more book knowledge, you understood what Valinor, what Numenor was going to potentially be. Were you disappointed by what you saw? Remember that they spent 60 million on an episode?
I thought it was just going to be slow and we were going to see.
What did you think visually of that? What did you think visually of Numenor?
I don't see 60 million an episode in any of these. But
Really?
No.
See, I kind of did.
I mean, they're awesome, but
I think I seen more 60 million with Khazad-dûn than I did with Numenor, and that shouldn't have been the way. It should have been the other way around.
Yeah, most of it was special effects, I would say. So if they cost that much, maybe so. But
yeah, definitely. And hello, LJ. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it, my friend. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. We are pushing for 500. So back in Eragon, Gil-galad has arrived, and Celebrimbor pitches the idea of the Mithril Crown to solve the elves' problem, saying a circular form is ideal so that the light will arc back upon itself, into itself, building a power that will be unbounded. So that's why we need the circular figure. And all the way through this, if you notice, Galadriel, her facial expressions just change so deep throughout this entire thing. Celebrimbor reveals that speaking with Halbrand was the key that unlocked the dam, and that they're on the cusp of creating a new kind of power, not of the flesh, but over flesh, a power of the unseen world. Little do they know, exactly. Little do they know, very powerful words. Anthony Blaze, what up? Appreciate you, my buddy. Thanks for being here. So yeah, did you guys notice that Galadriel was just getting more and more and more skeptical throughout this entire episode?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can tell, like you mentioned, you can tell by her facial expressions for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting skeptical.
Yeah, definitely. So you may recall that these are the exact same words that Adar uses when he describes Sauron's attempt in the far north to create the new power. So just to repeat those for everybody that was watching, he says that it was to create not of the flesh, but over flesh, a power of the unseen world. That was exactly what Adar said in a previous episode. So it was a real cool callback, and I know that we don't really get answers onto Adar, which would probably disappoint Headless a little bit because he really wants to know who this dude is. Because I remember you said last week, last week or yesterday on your live, you said you want to know who Adar is. So Umpty, are you able to give us any inklings as to who Adar is?
Well, I think he's going to be the heads up for season 2. He's going to be a big part in season 2 because Sauron's going to have to confront him, and he said he killed him and he did all this. So I see them two being kind of at battle with each other in season 2.
I like that, yeah, because he did say that he killed Sauron, right? That's correct.
And he said, "Well, you know me, you've seen me." So I think you're going to see that. Hopefully, get to see that story play out of how Sauron deals with that.
Mm-hmm.
So who did he tell that he killed him?
He told Halbrand when he was Halbrand that he killed Sauron, and then he told the girl, what's her name too?
Bronwyn.
Yeah, he said I killed him. There isn't Sauron doesn't exist. I killed him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be happy.
No, he's not. So Gil-galad shuts it down, ordering everyone to disband Eragon and leave for London to sail west. So he, all the way through it, I thought he was a pompous little prick. I'm going to say it. All the way through it, I thought Gil-galad was just like, what was the point of you even being a king? You haven't really done anything. And then at this point, he refused to have the crown. That's what they wanted to do. And then he was like, no, I don't think that's going to work, which was a good side story for him, I suppose, just to not be the complete idiot that I thought he was going to be all the way through it. And here we see his spear or his lance. I really hope that we get to see this in use, and it should be in use in the War of the Ring in season 5. But whether he's got it or not, that will be a question that we'll have to come across down the path, I suppose, because there's, again, 4 seasons between here and there. pretty crazy. So yeah, guys, this just gets deeper and deeper and deeper into this storyline. It's like Headless said earlier on. It's kind of slow and a little bit like what's going on, and then the last 15 minutes, it's just like bang, 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 everything hits you. And we are going to get to that real soon. So Halbrand meets Galadriel in the same courtyard and marvels at being in Eragon, working with the jewelsmiths, and thanks Galadriel for pushing him to heights that no one ever could. He says he'll see to it that no one ever forgets that, and it's definitely a creepy moment. Like this dude has gone from being all right, and I maybe thought there was going to be some love interest with them, to now being a complete weirdo. Like he's strange.
Why do you think that? Because
I don't know.
I think it's because he's close to getting her used for what he wants to get that rings made.
Yeah.
So that's all his own motivation was.
Yeah, he's in the right place now.
He knew he had to get there to make that happen. And
yeah, I agree.
To befriend the elf. So he's like, I'm where I need to be. You're not that important anymore, really.
So, Headless, what was your thought process for these scenes? Like, what was going on in your head? Because like I said earlier, you've just been told that the wizard is Sauron.
Yeah, I knew something was going on. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, so I still didn't think it was going to be Sauron at the end. Like, or is that a spoiler already for the stream? But
no, it's cool. No, people can. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I said it earlier on. Yeah.
But I knew something was fishy. Like I just didn't know exactly what was going on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of mad, I guess, because I'm like, wait, what? you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
that's why it gives you a lower score for this episode than the previous one. Because to me, this is the best episode of the season.
Do you? Okay,
I would say so too.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely all the reveals. You get the reveals. That's what you get. You know. Yeah, I was a little bit angry right now because I really wanted him to be someone different.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. And here we have she's even in this look, she's still kind of giving into his temptations. He's definitely got a hold over her.
Yeah.
Like, look how, she's looking at him quite somber. She isn't hatred in this look at all. Like, yeah. And well done again to Amazon, because, they made some of these shots look absolutely brilliant. I don't know if it's just because I was watching in high definition or not, but this episode, it stood out very well for me. So yeah, we're going to go back with the stranger, and the mystics say
here's a little something about Halbrand. Early on, y'all said, he's not canon. We never seen him. We want to see where he goes and what he does. The character name wasn't canon in a sense, but he followed exactly what Tolkien said was going to happen. A stranger was going to come and infiltrate. He was going to come as a stranger and infiltrate. So the storyline he followed was part of the canon, but he didn't leave a name or say, he said he was going to come as a stranger. And
yeah. No, I appreciate that, Auntie. And they threw a wrench in the works by giving us the wizard's name as the stranger. So we all had that thing. Well, is it the stranger? Is he going to be Sauron because he's called a stranger, and in the writings he comes as a stranger, and then okay. So yeah, it was definitely. But we're back with the stranger, and the mystics say that he had a veil placed on his mind by the ones who cast him down, and he kind of doesn't like it. Kind of goes all crazy again and starts doing these magical, uncontrollable things that he has no power over. It feels like. And the mystics believe he's Sauron, presumably trapped in his mental blockade by the Valar. They reveal that the constellation he is searching for is called Hermit's Hat, and it lies in the east in the lands of ruin. So, yeah, I thought the constellation was Mordor. Don't know if it still is. If I go to here, this is the map. So ruin is up here in the top right, as you can see, RHUN. This is where he is talking about. But as you can see here down the bottom right-hand section of this map, you can see what looks like an M on its side.
Yeah.
That's Mordor.
So it does look like the stars.
Yeah. So the stars that we've seen in the constellation earlier, while I was claiming it was Mordor, that was why I was claiming it, because I've seen this map before, and yeah. So I was technically right, but technically wasn't, because where he was heading was ruin. But hey, well, I'll give myself half a point for that one.
Yeah, I think
So
you're
the
more
four
right than you think.
Half-Foots. Yeah. The four Half-Foots show up and attempt to free the stranger from his bounds, but it turns out that they're pulling the switcheroo, and we see the freaky eyes and shape-shifting once again. Like weird freaky eyes. And it just so happens that it wasn't even him. It was her in his head. She was controlling him. Crazy. I apologize for the him and her, guys. I don't really know her name. They don't really explain it. She's like a nomad.
She has a name. What is it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I did have them in a previous episode. And then Meteor Man does another ground and pound and knocks 2 of the mystics down while the third uses her staff to protect herself. We get a bit of wizard duel type fighting before Nori gives the stranger a pep talk and the mystic staff, and he interrupts the mystics by saying, "From the shadow you came, from shadow I bid you return." Very, very Gandalf-like.
Oh yeah.
She's called the Dweller.
The Dweller, that's it. Thank you, MT. I appreciate you finding that knowledge for us. And I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. We've got Arcade Pop. What is good? What is good? Welcome in, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. And he said hello to every single person in the chat. Absolutely love that. Everybody, make sure you check out Arcade Pop when you get a second. He's always live every single night. Full of entertaining stuff. 30 slides in, guys, and we're about halfway through. So, yeah, we haven't got many things to talk about here. He has the staff. I then start getting Gandalf vibes. Yeah, anything you want to add, Headless?
Yeah, I mean, here I still wasn't sure if he was going to be Sauron, because I just because we haven't found out yet in the scene, right?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Here I started questioning everything that the episode was trying to tell us, knowing that there was probably some type of twist. And I still had no idea about Halbrand, though, which makes me still so mad. But I just didn't believe this, that he was Sauron. So
That he was going to be a bad guy.
yeah, and this is when he fights the 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when this was over, I was like, okay, I knew it. I knew I was right. So I was pretty pumped about that part.
You knew you were right.
When he fights them.
Yeah, so I put here serious Gandalf vibes.
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah.
Serious Gandalf vibes. Like, I was waiting for him to go, "You shall not pass," and all this kind of stuff, you know?
Right?
And then, yeah, guys, the mystics say he is not Sauron. He is the other, the Istar. Istar, as we later see, translates to wise one or wizard.
Yeah.
He raises his staff, and we see the mystics look very Nazgul ring wraith-esque kind of shot.
They look just like the ring wraiths.
Yeah, so possibly meaning that they are in the unseen world. Again, guys, we mentioned earlier in the previous episode of the breakdown, there was the unseen world and the seen world, and the magic in this world. Like, some wizards and some people in this show can live in both realms and visit both realms. It's kind of crazy. Like, Frodo goes to the unseen world when he puts the ring on. Gandalf went to the unseen world and came back as the white wizard. So yeah, there's all sorts of different references to it. But here I was like, I paused this scene because I thought this is sick.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know? Yeah. And I am wondering whether these are going to be ring wraiths going down the line, whether, or whether they are just banished now to the dark side or to the unseen world.
I mean, that's like $10 million each one right there. That's 30 million right there.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, that's where the money went.
Definitely. Oh, and before we cut away, Sadok is mortally wounded. Yeah, okay, whatever. Bye.
He fought quite a bit. He was quite active while he was wounded, though.
Yeah, I literally did that as a joke for everybody watching and listening. I just have no emotional connection to him whatsoever. Like, what about you, Umpty? What do you think of the Harfoots in the show?
Oh, I think it's a big part they're playing, but it's not too drawn to them. Pippi more than
yeah. Right now, I feel like they're being thrown down our throat as a small person in a big world.
Well, I think
like
it's
Frodo
important
was.
to show them because they're the ones that led to the Hobbits. So we kind of got to show the Hobbits didn't just pop into the world out of nothing.
Yeah, that's what I feel like they're doing too.
Yeah, you got a very good point.
And when we get to the end, I'll tell you and who I think the stranger is, I'll explain how
Yeah, because
that.
I will let everybody know that it isn't actually confirmed right now who the stranger is. Even the actor himself has come out and said in an interview immediately after the final episode, he was very reluctant to share who he actually was.
He don't know. Nobody knows except the writers. Even
I
the
think he
showrunners.
must know. I think he must know.
The showrunners never did, unless he's read the script, seen the next year's scripts already. He knows, but the showrunners didn't know, or they said that there's a lot of paths he could follow, so they don't. That's what I read. Which,
Okay. Interesting. So here, bear with me because this literally hurt my fingers typing this out. So next we get to go what is probably my favorite scene in the episode. After the previous episode, I was a bit worried that Elendil would turn his back on the faithful for the time and possibly even be tempted to join Pharazôn. Together, Elendil and Muriel talk about the price of being faithful is unknown and may be dear. And I honestly got goosebumps when Elendil says, "We have little choice but to keep serving, for I, for one, will see it through. Will make it to the end worth the price." It is a great moment for his character, and he fully embraces being among one of the faithful, and it comes not during the moment of triumph, but when he is at his lowest, having lost his wife, believing that he has lost his son, and returning home from having suffered a great defeat. I genuinely think that this was one of the fantastic scenes from this episode. Very dialogue heavy. And then just before we go there, what do you guys think of Elendil? Headless, what do you think of Elendil? What do you think of his character? Do you think he will be a good king? Because, we believe that he will be king in the Third Age, I believe it is.
I want to know, is this his real name? Because now I think he's Aragon. I've switched. Unless his son is, but I don't know. It is kind of weird though. He doesn't care about his son right now. Like they just think he's automatically dead.
Yeah, but I think that they're writing about the story. I believe that we will see him maybe in the first episode of season 2, and I think his horse will find him.
Oh, okay.
I do. And I will tie that in again. So remember, I said that I will tie that in again in another scene later down the line, because I believe that somebody will join them, which could make an interesting trio. Well, duo, but with the horse as well. So
yeah.
Umpty, anything you would like to add about Muriel and Elendil?
Just know we'll see him again. I mean,
yeah.
They're just. I think a lot of this is just setting up what's going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. And Baby Ice is letting everybody know. Thank you, Baby Ice. Everybody, please smash that like button. We'd appreciate it. I hear if you hit it 69 times, something fun happens. I've never been that far, so we'll see. And I don't know if anybody caught this, but here is a shot of Numenor, and we have black sails, which means Tar Palantir, the king, is dead.
Dead. Yep, I've seen that.
Yeah, I got that. As soon as we seen the black sails, I was like, oh shit. Okay. So Tar Palantir is dead. We have Pharazôn here looking over his body. And I was thinking he looked pretty ominous and pretty dark at this scene. But then I zoomed in, and he's actually crying. And in our final shot in Numenor for season 1 is Pharazôn looking upon the deceased king, not with a sense of ambition or evil, but with tears in his eyes. Perhaps he mourns for the king, but even more, I think he mourns for men. They are doomed to grow old and die, which I'm sure will lead to big things for his character in season 2. That's Milky giving a tiny little bit of what's to come without giving too much. Yeah, I believe that he is obsessed with not dying, with being around forever, you know?
Yeah,
so
I agree.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah, and so the Rings of Power is about 69 rings. No wonder you like this show. Yeah, exactly. And we haven't seen a dragon yet, which was nice. So back to Eregion, sorry. And there's an explosion as they continue to attempt bonding the Mithril with the other ores. I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Halbrand suggests that rather than forcing the metals to join, they should be coaxed together. I'm sorry, but that's the same thing. Is it not?
Joined and
It rather than forcing the metals to join,
yeah.
which was the mithril and the 3 stones that they had, what would be the point? He says that you need to coax them together. Isn't that the same thing? Coaxing something is the same thing as forcing. I always assumed.
Well, I would think coaxing would not be as much power. If you force it, you're pushing it. If you coax it, you just kind of come on and do it.
Just gently feeding it through. Okay.
Yeah, gently. Yeah, that's what I was getting out of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. Maybe just not in my vocabulary that word, but I assumed it was the same thing. I was like, why that line just didn't stand right for me. But no, that's why we do the breakdowns, because different ears and different sets of eyes can break things down differently. So here we have Halbrand. He has come out and has said that there needs to be 2 rings. He has said that they need to make 2, one for him and one for the elves, which was, a little bit like, well, what gives you the right to feel like you should have one of these rings? You've literally just got here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you've literally just got here. What gives you the right?
And it's not going to save your life. It's
Nadia popped in. Good evening, Nadia. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Nadia.
Awesome to see you in. It's really cool seeing everybody here. I really do appreciate everybody supporting me and hanging out. And yeah, maybe we can get all you guys watching a show coming soon, maybe after Christmas or something, so we've all got something to talk about on these breakdowns. And here in the next scene, Halbrand reveals it's too much power for one object, so they're making 2. And here, Galadriel confronts Halbrand, revealing that earlier in the episode she was talking with her Google elves who go and look for these information for her. They go away and then they Google these things and come back with all these scrolls. That's the way they must do. They're Google elves. And Halbrand, here Galadriel confronts Halbrand, revealing that the last king of the Southlands died 1,000 years ago and had no heir. So Halbrand says, indeed, I told the truth when I said that I found it on a dead man. Which he did. He did say he found it on a dead man. So
the whole time.
Yeah, he wasn't lying. But, we all assumed all the way through this that he was the king of the Southlands and that was what he was going to do, which was pretty funny. So Headless, I'm going to keep asking you this. I need to know when the penny drops. When did the penny drop for you? Was it literally the scene in the water with the 2 of them?
Again, I knew something was going on. I still didn't figure it out at this point. Like I was still under denial. Maybe, I don't know. When did I actually find out? I mean, I guess
let me know when we're going through it and if you remember. Yeah,
but
I'm very intrigued as to
like when she brought out this this was like a family tree, right? I mean,
it was a scroll that she got from the guy. Yeah.
But basically, it's. I guess I definitely started thinking here, and I was like, okay, so he's not who he says, and then I was like, okay, well, how many characters do we have? And then part of me was like, okay, well, if maybe it's Saruman, but it's not. We found out it wasn't. So I guess this was the first scene where I started thinking, okay, this could be him or one of the 2 or somebody else, but.
Yeah, no, I like that because literally it's something that's thrown right in your face. It's like, hey, well, the guy that we thought was this guy all the way through he's been lying,
Yeah.
As I said previously earlier, he said one line about the gift, and I knew instantly in my mind that was him.
Yeah, and and I guess
the knowledge.
And after we saw that the stranger, killed the 3 cult members or whatever, I guess I obviously knew that somebody was gonna. Switch over or they were gonna, like I said, I knew that twist was coming. So I mean, I guess I kind of was still in denial as I didn't want it to be, but
we'll get onto that in a little bit later as to why you might not have wanted it to be. We'll get onto that. Sorry, anything you want to add about these scrolls?
No, I think it was probably important for her to figure that out, obviously, before he revealed himself. I mean, it was, I don't know why, but I think, of course, he did say that he found him on a dead man. So,
yeah. So he says he has been awake since before the breaking of the first silence, and in that time has had many names. So yeah, this is literally just we're gonna tumble straight into the fact that this guy is Sauron. You know,
Yep.
it's cool. I do like the character himself. I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. Like, I can't wait to see a darker side of him, like in his armor and all this kind of stuff. It's gonna be really, really cool, and his trickery, because he is a very, very wise and sneaky guy.
Yeah.
You know,
See, I don't think he'll be this devout evil person that we're going to see. I mean, he will be, but it's not going to be portrayed that way.
Okay. So you believe we'll have a good Sauron for a couple of seasons?
To a certain extent. I mean, obviously his mind is going to be plotting and evil and doing stuff, but
Mm-hmm. You even have that statement at the end of this series where he is heading. You still have that feeling, because I believe he's pure evil as soon as he's walking towards Mount Doom. You know,
That's what I was kind of thinking.
yeah,
So
the only
we'll
way
see,
I
we'll
think
see.
that will happen is if maybe they're going to show him battling Adar and trying to confront him, and that way he would be evil, but yet it wouldn't be necessarily this,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, no, I like that.
I mean, obviously he's got to make his ring. There's a lot of stuff that's going to have to take place in the next seasons or two. So,
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So Gladriel tries to stab him, and he stops her with ease, throwing her down, where she falls into a flashback memory in Valinor, which was, again, really cool. I was like, what the hell's going on? You know, usually I watch these TV shows and I play Candy Crush on my phone or something. This stopped me from playing on my phone. It made me watch and be interested, and I was like, what's going on here? So yeah, we're going to skip. We have her, and as you can see in the background, there is the bridge that the children ran across in the first episode. So it was right back to where we were. Pretty cool. And she's talking with her brother Finrod. She meets Finrod, who is her brother, who tells her that his task was not to hunt Sauron, but to ensure peace, which was Sauron's task as well. He encourages her to simply let the work of the Rings of Power proceed and say nothing to the other elves. This was a bit like, what? And then obviously you realise that he's doing this to her, Sauron's doing this to her and making her see these things, because instantly we cut and she's on the water again in the water, and it was like, what is going on? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, these House of the Dragon people can change characters in the 6 years and all this kind of stuff, but this woman can hop around the map in seconds. You know, it was pretty crazy. So it must have confirmed by now, Headless, right? When you're seeing this.
Oh yeah, no, it was for me basically the scroll, and then when she tries to stab him, I was like, okay. So I knew right away then.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much. I forget about the knife scene,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's pretty much where I knew what was going on at this point.
And then for everybody watching, if you haven't seen the episode, the next slide should be pretty much visual representation of Sauron. Let's see if it is. There you go.
Yeah.
So we have Sauron and Gladriel in the water. Sauron shows her a vision reflected in the water where we get some sort of obscured image of Sauron crowned with Gladriel by his side, each in clearly different attire than what they are currently wearing. This was amazing. This shot was amazing. And then it gave me instant flashbacks to when Galadriel is in the movies and she's talking with Frodo and she says, I could have been the queen of... And she gets all angry and she goes all crazy. That's the direct line to what Sauron says to her in this scene. She pulls it back in that movie, and it was very well made. You know, like we said, this episode, it's the last 15 minutes is just chaotic, and we're pretty much in it now, pretty deep. Umpty, thoughts on this? Like, finally, right? I was like, finally, we've got it.
and I think the next scene, I guess I don't remember if it was the next one, is probably pretty important too.
Well, I put that in here because he says to her, join us, join us together. So this was my Star Wars secret, because Kylo Ren does the same thing with Rey.
Yeah.
He says, join me and we can rule this world and be evil, horrible people. So that was my little Easter egg and my little dig to Headless Ned Stark, because yeah, even though it's Star Wars, this trilogy of Star Wars was pathetic in my eyes. But
It was.
Yeah, it's another story for another live stream. If you want to hear us talk about Star Wars, then let us know in the chat down below. So yeah, she goes here to stab him again. She's like, no, I'm definitely not going to join you. You know, you're evil, you're bad. It's not going to happen. And then again, guys, there isn't much talking, as we've already said in this, going through it. I did get a good couple of shots of their faces, though, because they emphasized them so much through this. And we are almost done, and we've just over an hour, so that's really, really good. We have here Halbrand looking pretty normal. We have both of them screaming at each other, which again symbolizes what? I didn't understand it, but I think it symbolizes the struggle mentality between the good and the light, and the you know, the good and the bad, and the dark and the light, and all this kind of stuff. Because then the next scene, look at his eyes. Like this is yeah, he's turned, and this is the eye of Sauron that we see.
Come out.
What did you think to these? It turned pretty dark, didn't it, guys? It did turn pretty dark pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah, he's found out now at this point too. So
yeah, he's found out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this is in his dream world. This isn't even in Eregion, you know, where their bodies are standing.
So who saves her? In a sense,
well, yeah, exactly. And he basically puts her underwater, ties her up underwater, and she manages to get out, and she comes through, and as she comes back through again. Yeah, as she comes back through again, she's with Elrond, and Elrond, she seems to be confronting Elrond because she's like, "What's going on?
When do we meet?
Who are you?" And I have that here. Yeah, she wakes to Elrond and yells, "Deceiver!" Then makes him prove who he is, which is probably a good tactic from here on out, because Elrond says they met when he was an orphan and was alone. So, you know, he kind of confirmed to her who he was. And
I think that's showing they're going to be together, you know, next season, working together to try to fight.
I thought you were going to mean like romantically. I was like,
no. I mean to fight the bad. They're going to showing them he's going to know something's going on, and it's going to push them to work together to try to battle.
Yeah. So would you have freaked out if Elrond had been stabbed here headless?
Probably, yeah. But it's hard to blame her because of what just happened. You know, that would have been really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I wanted that from this scene.
Yeah.
I wanted her to stab him through this when she woke up. Stab him and have to deal with that kind of stuff, you know? Would have been really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a nice little twist too, going in to next season. I mean, they could have done it easily, you know, they could have had him survive, obviously, but I guess more happens after, because now we get the main part. So it would have been tough to do that, but.
So Celebrimbor says that he is determined that the purity of the lesser ores is crucial, which, like, he says he needs gold and silver from Valinor. Repeating his line, true creation requires sacrifice, and it just so happens that Galadriel has her dagger, which is from Valinor, and it has both gold and silver. So again, guys, this is two shows that we've broken down with two very key components being the dagger. You know? Maybe you can read into that more than you think, or maybe not. I don't know how it works. Maybe Milky's got a dagger in the post on the way to him, and we'll have an unboxing of a dagger sometime soon. Would be pretty cool, right? But again, so I want to pose this question to both of you. You guys both have seen Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which dagger would you prefer?
The thing I like about this one is like how it's silver and gold. It's kind of cool looking.
It's precious metals.
Yeah. What's the name of this one again? Is there a name for that dagger?
I'm not sure if there is there?
I don't know.
Umpty might know.
Let me look it up. I'm not sure either.
But I'm still going with the Valyrian steel. So.
The cat's paw dagger.
Yeah.
Daggers are meant to be dual wield, so I'll just take both.
There you go, right?
Great answer, Umpty. I love that.
That's right.
So yeah, I unfortunately would also have to choose the cat's paw dagger. My heart belongs to George R.R. Martin's world more than it does Tolkien's. So yeah. But they are both cool, and
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, see, they don't really have a name. Obviously, it belonged to our brother, and said it symbolizes Finrod's lingering presence in Middle Earth and its destruction is responsible for creating the three rings of power. So it doesn't really have a name.
Okay.
Just that it came from a brother, which we know.
T, where have you been for the last 7 weeks? Could have had you on the panel all this time. So, guys, we're going to go back with the stranger and Nori, and
I didn't want to.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to spoil stuff, so that's one reason I didn't even ask, because I was like,
Yeah.
I know too much on the scene.
Yeah, well, we do appreciate that, and I'm sure I've spoiled enough as it is already. Back with Nori and the stranger, and he reveals that he must go to Ruin to discover more of who he is. He says traveling alone is just a journey, but adventures must be shared. Nori said she's had enough of adventures, and for a moment I thought, oh wow, they're actually going to, segue the Harfoots out of the main story and avoid the wizard making a hobbit go on an adventure trope like they did with Gandalf, with Frodo.
Yeah.
But hey, 2 minutes later, Nori's family are encouraging her to go. So when the stranger says Nori should leave, and she has her Frodo moment saying, but I don't know which way to go. I thought at that moment the wizard was going to say left, just like Gandalf does in the Fellowship of the Ring. But instead, he says, when in doubt, always follow your nose, which is also another Gandalf quote, what he sells to Merry in the Mines of Moria in the Rings of Power, in the Lord of the Rings movie. He says to, walking down the stairs of the Mines of Moria, Gandalf says to Merry, when in doubt, always follow your nose.
Oh.
So it's a direct line from Gandalf. So I would like to know later in this episode, we have a couple of slides left, but we will be asking Umpty who is the stranger, because I would like to know at the end of this breakdown who he believes the stranger is. So Umpty, hold on to that information right now, because we are almost done and we don't have much dialogue left to say. I want to thank everybody that's been here tonight and hanging out. There's 4 people in the chat right now. Appreciate it. Anthony Blaze says, don't know what you're talking about, but yes to Star Wars. Okay, Anthony, I appreciate you. So here, guys, we have the shot, a really awesome, cool shot of the dagger being placed into the fires. And also, I didn't get a shot of it because I'm stupid and I forgot. But we also see the piece of mithril that Elrond has. He drops that in too. And the next scene, did everybody notice that this looks like the Eye of Sauron?
Yep.
Back in Eragon, we get the melting down of Gladriel's dagger, and Elrond drops in the mithril, which causes the molten metal to look like the Eye of Sauron for a moment, and finally we get some forging of the Rings of Power. Like, we've only been waiting for this for 8 episodes, you know? It's like, oh, he said it. He said the name of the episode. Crazy. And then here we have the Rings of Power, which look pretty darn cool. You know, I like them. What do you think to these? These stones look bigger to me than what was in that box. Don't know about anyone else, but
These stones look bigger?
these stones in these rings look bigger than the ones that were in that box.
I don't think so. I kind of assume, because if they were going to go on a crown, you know, they're not going to be the size of one that you would typically see in a ring. So it made sense, but that's about right.
Yeah. Umpty, what do you think about these rings?
Not at all what I was expecting. The jewels.
You were expecting them to look more like the One Ring?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why.
With text.
Yeah, I agree with Umpty. That's what I originally was thinking, but
I didn't know they were jeweled, I didn't remember that part.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't remember that in the books either. Because again, I said earlier that he makes a note about these jewels being precious, but yet Sauron has been in contact and seen Silmarils, so he wouldn't have that understanding of. They are more beautiful, precious stones than anything that we would see here.
You do think you would be able to control somebody through a jewel more so than just the ring, though, too. So that may be the part.
Yeah, very good point.
Controlling.
So then we have here Elrond finds the scroll and realizes that Halbrand has been lying all this time and hasn't really been saying who he is. You know, he finds out that he's not the king of the Southlands, and we also have Celebrimbor on the right looking over his marvelous magical, you know, things that he's made. He's happy with his rings, which was cool. And then we're going to cut to a final 2 slides. I think this was a real cool one where we see Mount Doom in the eye of Halbrand. A lot of these kind of cool close-up shots. I really, really enjoyed this one. And then Elrond holds the scroll, after playing Sherlock for a moment. So he's finally wise to the fact that Halbrand is definitely not who he claims to be, and Celebrimbor looks proudly upon his creation. We transition to the physical eye of Halbrand, and then we cut to the final scene of this show, and it is Halbrand, and it mimics the end of Two Towers, I believe, with the shot of Mount Doom and the tower with the eye here. So this is the same shot of a fantastic way to end this season, fantastic way to end the show, and we fade to black here. And that's us, guys. I was one short of 69 because, as Baby Ice pointed out earlier, there's 69 rings in this show, and for copyright, wanted to make sure we didn't have 69 slides. So I'm gonna bring that down. I was rushing, so I don't have no fancy thank you slide at the end like Headless has each week, because he is very well more organized than me at these kind of things. But I want to personally thank every single person that's been here throughout this entire ride. I've loved it, like absolutely loved breaking this show down. When I first heard about it, it was at the same time that the House of the Dragon came out, and obviously I was like, I gotta make that mental decision to not do both at the start, because I physically couldn't. Wouldn't have been able to have enough brain in my head to be able to deal with Aegon, Aemon, and all this, and then all these other names. It just wouldn't have worked. So, thank you for agreeing with me, because it definitely wouldn't have worked. And I know some content creators have probably got the capability to be able to do that, but maybe down the line we'll jump on that, because who knows when this is going to return.
Yeah,
it might be the same time. I hope if you are listening now, Amazon Prime, you're probably not. There's 3 people watching, so hey, you're probably not. But if you are and you see this, please don't go up against House of the Dragon. Make it a different time of the year so that I can enjoy both shows when they are live, because I'm 4 weeks out of this now, and it would have been cool to be able to break it down as it was happening. But hey, it was cool. So Headless, thoughts on the end of this episode as a whole? Like you said earlier, 15 minutes of pure chaos. You want to break it down with your thoughts?
Yeah, so I thought it ended really well. At least we found out who he is, because that was one of the other questions that we were still a little bit unsure about. I was kind of shocked that we didn't get any Brownwyn and Arendir, and we didn't get any of that storyline with Theo, and so I thought that was kind of odd. So I'm not even sure what they're even going to be up to next episode or next season. I'm kind of lost there, I guess. Because really, his whole storyline was the sword and the hilt, and that's gone now. So I don't know. That's kind of a weird little. I don't know. They didn't get much of a cliffhanger, and even the dwarves, I was really disappointed not to see them, because like we talked about yesterday, seeing that Balrog at the bottom of the mines, and I still think there's something going on with King Durin. And then to get nothing at all after we got that is the final scene in the Dwarven Caves. It's just like, man, I don't know. And that's the way they decided to do it, is just they ended it like that for that storyline. Because like this storyline was almost all about the elves. I mean, it really was. And Halbrand. And then, like I said, we got a little bit with the stranger, and that's one character we still don't know. I still think he's Gandalf personally.
I don't.
So I don't know, but overall, the episode was really good. I thought it was probably my 3rd favorite episode overall, even though we got a lot of the reveals and stuff. But yeah, I give it a solid 8.5. And then is the whole season. I would give it a good 8. I mean, it's definitely not as good. I still enjoyed House of the Dragon more, but that's also because I'm more into the lore. Where this, I just need to dig deeper into it. And like I said, I haven't even seen the original trilogy in like 15 years. So, but yeah, I mean, overall I liked it, and I'm glad we did these breakdowns, because it definitely makes me understand it more.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that you come and still want to do them. I'm glad I didn't scare you away with a 50-page breakdown or something. It was great. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I can't wait to do Willow this week.
Oh yeah.
So before we get on to Umpty's thoughts, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So if they'd have put the elves, the dwarves in this episode, would it have bumped it up to your favorite episode?
Depending upon what they did, because I do like the dwarves. I that's my favorite area. Like I enjoyed everything that happened there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, for me myself, I've said that Durin is my favorite character in this show.
Yeah,
we know.
you also made a mention that we didn't get to see any Adir and Bronwyn.
Yeah.
I want to rebuttal that by saying we got 2 straight episodes with just them.
Yeah, that's true too. You're right, because mostly 6 and 7 were about them. Well, actually, not Arendir though. Arendir is only in episode
really
7
Arendir,
for like a
yeah.
second. Yeah, I don't know.
The
Really, I mean, he is in episode 6 quite a bit, and you know he's in 5 quite a bit. But really, man, he has about 35 seconds of screen time in the last 2 episodes.
Mhm.
And they pushed him. I think they pushed him hard early too, and it's like he just disappeared. So,
Yeah.
but again, we're talking about a character who was made for the show, and I think when you're trying to follow the books as best you can, that's kind of what happens to those kind of characters.
Yeah, and they needed
You're
to
not
give-
sure what to do with them because they don't really fit with the story that the book is following.
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely. I'm super excited for Arendir and for that character because he's cool, you know?
And I like Bronwyn a lot. I need more. Like, you know, we haven't really seen much of her either, really. She's kind of been playing, she's just kind of playing to the back of him almost. Like, I don't know. It's just, she's a weird character in this first season, I thought. So a little bit weird. Just, I don't know. Couldn't quite play.
Almost killed her 3 times and got away with it. Every
Yeah,
time.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, Umpty, my friend. First of all, I want to thank you very much for allowing your wisdom to come onto this channel tonight and to answer some of the questions and have the internet available for your quick searches that you needed. So, my burning question is to you: who do you believe Gandalf is?
Well,
Who do you believe? If you know, don't tell us.
I don't know. Nobody knows.
Okay.
Like you said, not even but I will say he's talking about the dwarves. The big Tolkien purists were totally upset with the dwarf lady, with his
With
wife,
decent. Yeah.
because
And she's
because
an army.
Tolkien in his writing said that all dwarves, female dwarves, have just as long a beards as male, and you cannot tell them apart from the males. They were a lot of the Tolkien purists were really upset with how they portrayed her because she didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I get that. It's going to happen.
Well, we know the stranger is a wizard.
Yeah, they just acknowledge that by calling him Astar, you know.
Now, my thoughts are that he has to be Saruman. Why? First thing is, why were these people confusing him with Sauron? Why did they come after him? We know in the show he's kind of battled that good and evil thoughts of should I be good or evil? And of course, she told him she can decide for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to Ruin. Ruin is not a place we know much about in the writing. Just where it's at, and the Easterling people are from there. The Easterling people and the Harfoots end up making the Hobbits, I think. So, but like Milky said, what lays right in there by Ruin? Mordor.
Mm.
And I think what we're going to see is Sauron go towards Ruin, the stranger, being Sauron, and he's going to end up getting into Mordor, and it's going to battle this evil, and we're going to see him develop into the evil part, because that would have to come before Gandalf, I would think. You know, we would see that storyline before we would see Gandalf's storyline. So I think
So Umpty said it on the. You think he's Saruman?
and he's going to
Christopher Lee's character from the original movies.
right. That turned evil. You know, he turned evil.
Yes. Yeah, the
We're gonna-
evil White Wizard. Interesting.
We're going to learn how he became influenced by this evil, and this influenced him and made him go
So I'm
evil.
going to give Headless props as well, because he did call that in like episode 2. He said, "What if he's Saruman?" You know, he did
That's
call
my
that.
belief.
Yeah.
It may not be. They don't even, apparently, from what I've read, nobody really knows too much. But I think that's going to be the storyline that would develop more so. If he was Gandalf, what's he going to do?
Right.
You know, I mean, he could wander for another 3 seasons, and before he, you know, they may do that too. But if he becomes Sarum, he have a big storyline coming into Mordor.
I think what they did with him was perfect, because now all of the people that love this show and have the knowledge of these movies are going to be like, "Oh, that's that show that's Gandalf's in it," you know. "Oh, let's watch that show with Gandalf in it." It might draw more people in, and then they flip it and they flip the switch.
Well,
and it's not really
that's
going to be Gandalf.
That's the cliffhanger. So everybody said there's no real cliffhanger. You know, there's a lot of cliffhangers because
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Hell yeah, there's a lot. A question in the chat or a statement in the chat from Baby I. She says, I have a problem, Milky, because you introduced Mama Rice and I to Game of Thrones and Hot D. You're a bad influence now because Mama Rice said the bad C word yesterday. Ooh. So would that be the word that the Hound uses quite a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not going to say it because it might be a bad word for YouTube, so we're probably not going to say that. But it's funny that she said that. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
I think going back to The Stranger, it makes sense because that's why I originally thought it was Saruman when he killed those ladybugs or the ladybugs, the lightning bugs, and then he was also doing good, and now that Umpty says that, when you think back to him killing those cult and making them maybe possibly ring wraiths. I mean, didn't the ring wraiths work for him almost, or not work for him? But I mean, they were part of his whatever. Or is that not true?
They're definitely trying to make you think it could be any of them, but storyline wise, I think it almost has to be. He became
so. I believe the ring wraiths. Sorry to interrupt you, Auntie. I believe the ring wraiths are attached to the one ring that Sauron makes with the unseen world, because obviously they chase it. They're constantly chasing that ring all the way.
Right, and I thought he kind of like is the one who sent them out after them. So it makes sense that he kind of makes them, and then he ends up going back, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, I mean, they could always throw a huge curveball at us again.
They're writing that right now. They're trying to come up with something. I promise you.
They're watching all our YouTube videos. Okay, we can't do it that way. We can't do it that way.
So Headless gave it an 8.5 for an episode. What did you give it for the season as a whole?
I would say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 as a season for the whole. And what about you, Auntie?
I'd say 8 out of 10
for the whole season, or just this episode?
For the season.
For the season, 8 out of 10.
I'd say 9 out of 10 for that episode.
Yeah, that episode for me was 10 out of 10. The best episode of the season, and
it just moved so slow.
8.5 to 9.
It moves so slow, and we're kind of used to Game of Thrones with 300 different character spin-offs.
Well, and I'll even say publicly that I said to Headless, I believe that how Rings of Power was a better first series than House of the Dragon.
I can agree with that.
In my own opinion, and that's probably going to be shocking for a lot of people to hear because I don't shut up about House of the Dragon. But I preference my statement with, I knew what was going to happen in House of the Dragon. I'd read the book. I'd listened to the audiobook. I've been in this world of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire for many, many years. So for me to be able to just take my brain out of George's world and drop it into Tolkien's world and be thoroughly entertained by what I saw, that's why I give it a better first season. I don't think it'll hold up. I think next season, House of the Dragon is going to be bigger than anyone ever thinks, because it's it's what we've all been waiting for. It's the dragons fighting. It's going to be insane.
We're slow. I think both these first seasons were a lot alike in the fact they were setting up more stuff, and it was slow.
Like 4 episodes into this, it's really slow, and then it kicks off. I got to episode 4 watching it solo, and then from 4 to 8, I just binged it. Didn't stop. House of the Dragon does the similar kind of thing. You do 4 episodes, and then I think it's 5 where we get the time jump, and then it gets better.
Yeah, I watched all of House of the Dragon at one time.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. So you definitely still wouldn't put it better than House of the Dragon Headless?
Oh God, no, it's not even close for me, actually.
Okay, no, I completely understand why you would say that too. Though you also, you didn't read the book, you didn't,
Yeah, I just thought that. I thought the first 5 episodes were just not enough happened. Like, I mean, there was literally no action to episode 6, like except for a few little fight scenes. And I know in House of the Dragon there's not a ton of action per se, but like I thought the characters in that show were so much like better. Like I don't know. I just like the characters more.
Yeah, and I wanted to add as well, like, go back to Game of Thrones first season. where we didn't know these people. The only real person we really knew was Ned Stark as a character, as an actor in a show.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Rings of Power, I can see something similar happening. We don't know any of these characters that play these people in this show. I don't know any of these actresses or actors from other shows.
Right.
Halbrand is a new face to me in the world of TV and movies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they went down that road. They didn't, like, the only person I genuinely know in this show is Sadok. He's a comedian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a British comedian, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to nail my point home, like, Halbrand is one of the biggest characters in this entire show, and it wasn't a known actor.
I guess one of my biggest issues is if you take Galadriel and you compare her to Rhaenyra, like it's not even a competition. Galadriel literally she doesn't have any type of struggle, and we had mentioned this yesterday until like the last 20 minutes of the the last 20 minutes. It's like her only like real struggle in the whole series. To Rhaenyra, think about what she has to go through. Like she goes through so much and then then at the end she's losing her kid. Like there's just, I don't know. And even the development of how Alicent becomes, such a bitch. Like I don't know, because like I love that character the first like three and a half episodes, and then all of a sudden you see the change start happening. Like I can't say that about these characters. Halbrand probably the biggest, but it happens like that. And you don't ever get to like, now we have to wait, which is fine. But like, I just feel like almost every single character in House of the Dragon went through some type of like change in character to the end. Like, I mean, Daemon, and obviously that's, that was kind of quick too, actually, but at least it was still over episodes, not just the end.
I completely hear you and completely understand. I can see where you're coming from a completely neutral person watching this show.
Yeah.
It isn't really explained until the last 15 minutes. But for somebody like myself, or maybe somebody like Umpty, I've known it was Halbrand from episode 4. I knew Halbrand was Sauron. I had an inkling all the way through it. They were doing things, they were saying things. So it was like it was giving book readers information that the general public wouldn't have even picked up on. And it's without these breakdowns that we have these things. But yeah, I'm so glad that I didn't spoil it for you. Like,
yeah, I had no idea to the end, basically. And I liked it, and I did like the twist. I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool way to go. Something that I wasn't expecting at all. I knew something because I knew something was up when the cult came and he ends up killing them. Halfway through the episode, right there, and then with the family tree thing with the scroll. So I mean, with those two things combined, I kind of figured there was something going on with him. But
yeah, anything you would like to add about the show?
Well, as far as Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, what I found on House of Dragons, I end up having to go read up because there's so many characters in Game of Thrones and try to figure out how they go, and I get everything spoiled. But I always see Game of Thrones characters in the House of Dragon characters. Whatever her name is,
Melisandre.
And the one that's sons became the king. Hightower.
Okay.
Her whole journey just seems like Cersei's to me.
Yeah.
Going nuts trying to get that power and.
I think that. Yeah. I wonder if House of the Dragon would have been, well, probably not. It's probably a silly question, but would House of the Dragon have been as explosive and as good if it came before Game of Thrones?
Yeah, but it was all written after, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
yeah, I think so.
It kind of written after, yeah, but it was, the book was already out, like season 4 of Game of Thrones. I think he did it, something like that.
Yeah. See, the way Martin writes, he writes totally different than a lot of people. A lot of people write a story. They outline all the plots and scenes, and they know everything from the beginning to the end. He's what they call a gardener. He plants a seed, and then he tries to figure out how it's going to end. That's why we don't have a book. That's why we don't have a conclusion to.
Winds of Winter, yeah.
Because
cool. Anything you want to add about?
He can't.
Anything you want to add about Rings of Power before we close the episode down?
I'm just anxious to see if that's what's going to happen. But like I said, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I think the storyline will become part of it. But
And when do you think we'll get season 2? 2023, 2024?
24, I imagine.
You think it'll be
Yeah.
24 as also? You think it'll
Yeah.
rival House of the Dragon then? You think they'll stay on that time stone?
I hope they don't, but
They may be smart and try to put it out before or after, just so you can, like you said, you can continue through all of them and just. I don't know why they would even.
Yeah, I don't see why streaming sites fight. I don't see why streaming sites, I don't see why they fight each other for viewership. Just
Yeah,
if your show's good, it's gonna get watched.
gonna
So
watch
put
them
it
both
back 3
anyway,
weeks.
right? Yeah, but I usually don't watch House of Dragons till it's all out, or I didn't watch any Game of Thrones. Now I can say I've seen some episodes because my friends watched it, so I knew a tiny bit, but I didn't watch the whole series till 2 weeks in one time after it was all done. And I can
Nice.
still tell you my favorite part about the last season was the documentary about it. Did you watch
Yeah.
that?
The last
Oh,
watch. Yeah, the last watch.
This was awesome. That part itself was just amazing to me.
Yeah,
it was better.
that's
than
who I got my cameo off. That's who I got my cameo off of the Funko community. They all gifted me a birthday present.
Yeah,
and it was on
honoring
the
that
12th
one guy
and
that was in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people say, I think House of Dragons makes me understand how it ended more so. People say it was a terrible ending. It didn't end right, but it probably did. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I think the ending of Game of Thrones, sorry to take this away from Rings of Power, but the ending of Game of Thrones that we got as a TV show, I think it will be saved with House of the Dragon and
Right,
Kit
yeah, that's what I
Harington's
think. It's
first
more
show.
becomes more clear of why it's done it, and it makes sense.
Yeah, because think for God's sake, if Daenerys comes back, everyone's gonna go crazy, and then I'm gonna go crazy at everyone else because I'm like, hang on a minute, you've all been shitting on this show for 10 years saying it was the worst ending ever, but now without the worst ending ever, you wouldn't have the amazing return of Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Cool. Headless, anything you want to add before we close it down?
I could sit here and talk about season 8 forever. So,
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, we're moving on. I enjoyed it. I'm pumped about Willow. So Wednesday, Willow, and yeah, I'm excited. So
Cool. So anything? What have you got coming up this week? You want to shout out anything, and then we'll close it down.
yeah, I mean Wednesday we'll be live talking Willow 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be dropping a video later tonight. It's just the Galaxy Con in Columbus that I'm going to this weekend. They released their panel schedule, so it's a video going over the panel schedule. So nothing like super exciting, but it's just kind of going through some of my my suggestions. And yeah, I think Sunday we're going to be doing on my live. We're going to be doing top 10, right? Top 10 favorite Game of Thrones characters. And I think I convinced Lily to come on and share hers. So I think she'll be back. And I'm trying to convince my wife to come do it, but I don't know if she wants to do it. But anyways, that's what we're going to do. And then Monday we'll be back on your channel doing the breakdown of Willow.
Yeah, Willow episode 1. So yeah. Umpty, what have you got coming up on your channel? Anything planned?
I'm going to try to drop a video, go live this week, and show off some stuff I got. And I got a new introduction and new music and some Christmas stuff. And I will say Arya Stark is the #1 Game of Thrones character. Right there.
Umpty's shouting Arya Stark as #1. Okay.
Can't wait till her sequel comes out because they set it up good.
Yeah.
They probably set hers up for the best,
She went out traveling the land after all that happened.
West of Westeros, yeah.
Yeah.
So we need that, but they don't want to pay that big bucks to all the established characters. So it's cheaper to start all over from the beginning.
Yeah.
So Headless, I now give you, not like I need to give you permission, but I now give you permission to go deep diving into the YouTube laws of Rings of Power and find out all these things that you've been avoiding for so long.
Yeah, I know, right?
And connect these dots, and maybe we'll come back in a couple of weeks and we'll do our final thoughts on the show after we've had a couple of weeks to think about it. And
yeah, that sounds good. Yep.
Michael Price just jumped in and said, I heard people talking about Starks. The North remembers. The North remembers. So, guys, my name has been Ryan Milkey. You all know my name by now. I appreciate it. If you are new here, please like the stream, subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for 500. Tomorrow night, you can catch me live on the Horsemen of the Apocalypse over on the Stable Clips. I'm not sure who's hosting. I think it's going to be Charles. Maybe Charles from Papa Missouri. Maybe not. We'll see tomorrow. Be a great night as always. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I don't know if I've got anything else coming up. I've probably got I need to do a video because I've been doing a lot of live streams. I haven't been putting any video content out. So I need to actually sit down and do a video. I've got so much in the works. Yep, Michael Price says it perfectly. There you go. He says, stay milky. So, guys, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I want to thank my guests, Headless Ned Stark and Umpty Scratch, for being here, and thank everybody in the chat that has been here tonight and throughout the last 8 episodes. I can't wait to deep dive into Willow. So, yeah, Wednesday is coming for Willow. That will be 9 p.m. Eastern. So, for me, that's
2
2
a.m.
Yeah, 2 a.m. 2 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah, normal time for me. 2 a.m. on Wednesday, we'll be breaking down Willow, which is going to be really good. And I would love for you guys to check it out, watch it, and hang out and come and hang out in a chat. Again, same rules go for everybody. If you watch the show, reach out. I'm sure we can get you on the panel for a breakdown. I think we might keep it to the final episode of the series where we can bring on loads of guests and stuff like that. We'll talk about that more as we go forward. But yeah, guys, I'm really bad at closing out these live streams, as everybody is aware. My name has been Ryan. My guests have been Umpty Scratch and Headless Ned Stark. I have a tagline that is #StayMilky, and that guy over there has one that is...
Don't forget, keep your sides on.
Yeah, that's correct. And Umpty, have you got a tagline?
Don't have no taglines.
Just sticker. That correct? Just buy stickers, yeah? Right, guys. Anyway, my name's been Ryan. Thank you all. I love you all. Let's see you all later.